Alex had long wandered through life like a solitary traveler in a vast, uncharted desert. Every step felt heavier than the last, and the weight of old disappointments clung to them like a tattered cloak. The city's ceaseless hum and hurried footsteps served as a constant reminder of their own perceived insignificance. In a bustling world where everyone seemed to have found their path, Alex felt lost, overwhelmed by the quiet ache of isolation and the sharp sting of self-doubt. Every morning, Alex would wake in a modest apartment with walls that whispered memories of failures and missed opportunities. The mirror reflected a tired gaze and eyes that had seen too much sorrow. There was an intangible barrier, a fortress of past regrets and the burden of expectations, that barred Alex from embracing new hope. Conversations felt empty and superficial, and every attempt to connect was met with an inner voice that insisted, "You're not enough." It was as if the universe had carefully painted their life in shades of gray, leaving little room for the vibrant colors of possibility. Days bled into nights as Alex trudged through a routine that felt both endless and meaningless. Each step was marred by the recollection of past mistakes, lost friendships, unfulfilled dreams, and the quiet resignation to a life that had lost its spark. The world outside continued unabated. Bright billboards promised success, and passing strangers wore smiles that masked their own struggles. Yet amid the cacophony of everyday life, Alex's inner dialogue was one of ceaseless lament, a litany of what-ifs and if-onlys. One autumn afternoon, with the sky a patchwork of copper and lavender hues, Alex decided, almost on impulse, to take a detour from their usual route. Seeking solace from the overwhelming confinement of routine, Alex found themselves at the edge of a sprawling park. The crisp air carried the scent of fallen leaves and whispered of a promise of renewal. As they wandered along a winding path, the quiet rustling of leaves underfoot echoed the soft stirring of long-forgotten hope. It was there, in the quiet embrace of nature, that Alex encountered an old man seated on a weathered bench beneath a giant oak. His eyes, deep and knowing, held a warmth that instantly invited trust. The old man greeted Alex with a nod and a smile that seemed to bridge decades of experience with a single knowing glance. Intrigued and a bit hesitant, Alex joined him on the bench. The conversation began with gentle pleasantries about the beauty of the day and the soft caress of autumn's chill. But as the conversation deepened, the old man, named Elias, began to share fragments of his own journey, tales of pain, resilience, and the unexpected turns that had led him to a life rich with wisdom. Elias spoke of a singular, transformative moment in his youth, when he too had felt adrift and overwhelmed by the harshness of life. He recounted how he had discovered a profound truth, that life's value did not reside in the grand gestures of success or the ephemeral chase for perfection, but in the simple, steadfast acceptance of one's own journey, complete with its trials, missteps, and small victories. As Elias's words sank in, something within Alex began to stir. There was a resonance, a quiet echo of truth that dismantled the walls built by years of self-imposed limitations. In that moment, a veil lifted. The single life-altering truth emerged. Purpose was not something to be found externally, but was nurtured within, through acceptance, compassion, and the willingness to learn from every setback. It was a truth that promised freedom, a way to reclaim the spark that had long been buried under layers of doubt. Alex left the park that day with a heart both lighter and more determined. The journey ahead was not free of obstacles, but the newfound wisdom provided a glimmer of hope that made every challenge surmountable. The transformation was not instantaneous, rather it was a gradual evolution. Every day became a step towards embracing vulnerability, learning from each failure, and slowly mending the fractures of broken relationships. In the weeks that followed, Alex began to make small changes. They reached out to old friends, seeking to rebuild bridges that had long been left to decay. The tentative reconnections were fraught with uncertainty, but each positive interaction reinforced the belief that healing was possible. Alex also took up journaling, a daily ritual that became a sanctuary for their thoughts, a place to capture fleeting insights and moments of clarity. With every written word, the internal dialogue shifted from one of despair to one of cautious optimism. There were, of course, moments when the old fears crept back in. On stormy nights, when the wind howled like a chorus of lost dreams, Alex would question whether the journey was worth the pain. Yet, during these times, the memory of Elias's words and the quiet truth discovered in that autumn park would serve as a beacon. It was not a magic cure, but rather a steady reminder that life's purpose was not measured by perfection or the absence of hardship. It was defined by resilience and the courage to face each day anew. With every small victory, Alex found a deeper connection to themselves. They began to explore passions that had been dormant for years. A forgotten love for painting was rekindled as vibrant canvases filled with abstract expressions of hope and renewal emerged from their studio. These creative endeavors became a tangible representation of the internal transformation, each brushstroke a testament to the power of self-discovery. Yet, not all challenges could be conquered by newfound resolve alone. External obstacles began to mount. Old job responsibilities clashed with the pursuit of personal dreams, and the remnants of toxic relationships emerged like ghosts from the past. Each setback was a reminder that transformation was a continuous process, one that required patience, persistence, and the ability to forgive oneself for not always getting it right. One evening, after a particularly trying day, Alex sat quietly by a window as dusk draped the city in a soft, melancholic light. The streets below were a mosaic of lights and shadows, echoing the duality of hope and despair within. In that reflective solitude, Alex penned another entry in their journal, a raw and unfiltered account of the day's battles. It was in these vulnerable moments that the lessons of resilience truly took root, a recognition that growth was not linear, and that every tear shed was a step toward healing. As weeks turned into months, Alex's inner landscape transformed. The once oppressive shadows began to yield to the gentle glow of acceptance and understanding. The small acts of courage, picking up the phone to apologize, trying something new despite the fear of failure, or simply allowing oneself to be vulnerable, became the building blocks of a renewed life. Friends began to notice the change, commenting on the subtle shift in Alex's demeanor, a newfound confidence that was both quiet and profound. The journey was far from over, and every day brought a mix of triumphs and trials. Just as Alex began to feel that they were finding solid ground, the past came calling once more. An unexpected letter arrived from a figure long forgotten, a person whose actions had once inflicted deep wounds and contributed to the labyrinth of self-doubt. The letter was brief, its words ambiguous, yet laden with the weight of unresolved history. It hinted at secrets that Alex had buried deep within, memories that were best left undisturbed, yet impossible to ignore. Alex's hands trembled as they held the letter, the ink seemingly seeping into the fabric of their carefully reconstructed life. The message was a stark reminder that the path to inner peace was fraught with challenges that stretched far beyond personal growth. It raised questions that Alex had long tried to avoid. Could the wounds of the past be fully healed, or would they forever linger as shadows on the heart? Was the truth that had so transformed their outlook enough to confront the complexities of a history intertwined with pain and regret? As the night deepened and the city outside grew silent, Alex stared at the letter, the words blurring into a mix of hope and trepidation. There was an undeniable pull, a call to face the unresolved mysteries that threatened to unravel the progress made. The letter was not just a remnant of past conflicts. It was a herald of new challenges and deeper truths waiting to be uncovered. In that charged moment, as the silence pressed in and the future loomed uncertain, Alex realized that the journey toward true self-discovery was far from complete. The heart, once shrouded in despair, now pulsed with cautious determination. Alex understood that the transformative truth discovered in that fateful autumn would serve as both a shield and a guide in the days to come. But the letter, with its cryptic promise of revelations yet to be faced, left one burning question in the quiet of the night. What other truths lay hidden in the shadows of the past, and could they withstand the light of discovery? And as the first hints of dawn began to break through the darkness, Alex closed the journal with a deep, steady breath, aware that the next chapter of their life was poised on the precipice of both risk and renewal. The road ahead was uncharted, its twists and turns veiled in mystery. But one thing was clear. The journey had only just begun, and the promise of a profound, life-altering truth lingered in the air, waiting to be unraveled. At the break of dawn, the gentle light filtered through Alex's apartment window, casting soft, golden hues over the journal and the letter that had so long haunted their thoughts. That letter, written in a hand that trembled with remorse and hope, had been from Marina, the person whose actions had once carved deep wounds into Alex's heart. Now, as the words of the past called out for reconciliation, Alex felt the stirring of something new, the courage to confront those long-buried pains and transform them into a beacon of healing. For weeks after that fateful morning in the park with Elias, Alex wrestled with the dual pull of old grief and newfound resilience. The letter was a summons, a challenge to face the unresolved chapters of their past, a past that had defined much of who they had become. The profound truth discovered in the quiet of autumn, that purpose was nurtured from within and fortified by forgiveness, had given Alex the strength to decide. It was time to meet Marina. In the days leading up to the meeting, Alex found solace in small rituals. Mornings were spent walking through the park where every rustling leaf reminded them that change was as natural as the turning of the seasons. Afternoons were devoted to the comforting cadence of paintbrushes on canvas, each stroke a deliberate act of reclaiming joy and self-expression. And evenings were reserved for quiet reflection in their journal, where words flowed as both catharsis and celebration of the inner journey. On the day of the meeting, Alex arrived at a quaint, familiar cafe on the edge of that same park, a place where the soft hum of conversation and the inviting aroma of freshly brewed coffee created a haven of calm and possibility. Seated in a quiet corner, Alex watched as time seemed to slow. Every heartbeat echoed the promise of transformation. The nervous anticipation that had once paralyzed them now mingled with a deep sense of purpose. Then, as if summoned by fate, Marina entered. The years had gently softened her features. The intensity of her youth had matured into a reflective grace. Her eyes, once stormy with unspoken conflicts, now shimmered with vulnerability and regret. For a moment, the two simply regarded one another, a silent acknowledgement of the shared history that bound them, for better or worse. "Alex," Marina said, her voice tentative yet sincere, "I never imagined I'd have the courage to ask for your forgiveness. I've carried the weight of my mistakes for so long, and I need you to know. I'm truly sorry." Alex took a measured breath, steadying the swirl of memories and emotions. "I appreciate you coming, Marina. I won't lie. The past has been painful and the scars have taken years to fade. But I've learned that every scar tells a story of survival and growth. I've discovered that holding on to pain only dims the light within us." Seated together, the two began a dialogue that slowly unraveled the tightly wound threads of old resentment. Marina recounted her own journey, a path marred by selfish choices and a desperate, misguided search for meaning. In her voice lay an earnestness that resonated with the wisdom Alex had come to cherish. As she spoke, Marina's apologies evolved from mere words to a heartfelt confession of regret. She acknowledged the damage she had done and expressed a sincere desire to atone, not by erasing the past, but by learning from it. Alex, drawing upon the strength of their own transformation, shared the pivotal moment that had reshaped their life, the day in the park with Elias, when a simple truth had emerged from the depths of despair. That true purpose is nurtured within, cultivated by every trial and triumph. I realized, Alex explained softly, that life isn't about escaping pain or waiting for perfection. It's about embracing every part of our journey, even the darkest chapters, and allowing them to teach us who we truly are. In that vulnerable exchange, the atmosphere in the cafe shifted. The tension that had once pulsed between them began to soften into a mutual understanding. Both recognized that the past, with all its missteps and heartaches, was an inescapable part of who they had become. But it was also the wellspring of their growth and resilience. Forgiveness, Alex realized, was not an act of condoning wrongs. It was a powerful declaration of freedom, a way to liberate oneself from the relentless hold of regret. As the conversation deepened, Marina's tears spoke louder than words. "I never meant to become a shadow in your life," she whispered, her voice breaking with sincerity. "I was lost too, overwhelmed by my own failures. I hope you can find it in your heart to let go of the anger, so we both can heal." For Alex, the journey to healing had been long and fraught with setbacks. Yet in that moment, the weight of old hurts began to lift. Drawing on the strength that had carried them through countless storms, Alex extended a hand, a gesture of forgiveness and a promise of new beginnings. "I'm ready to let go," Alex said, their tone resolute. "I can't change what happened, but I can choose to learn from it. I choose to embrace the light I've discovered within myself." The two sat in silence for a time, the ambient murmur of the cafe enveloping them in a cocoon of tentative hope. It was a silence filled not with emptiness, but with the promise of renewal. In that quiet space, both Alex and Marina recognized that the past would always be a part of them, yet it no longer had to dictate the future. After their meeting, Alex left the cafe with a serene clarity. The confrontation with Marina had not erased the pain of the past entirely, but it had redefined it. Every memory, every scar was now seen as a testament to the journey of self-discovery, a journey that had led them to the empowering truth that forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-liberation. In the days and weeks that followed, Alex immersed themselves even deeper in the practices that nurtured their soul. They returned to the park with renewed gratitude, where the gentle rustling of leaves reminded them that change was inevitable and beauty often arose from decay. Their paintings, once a sporadic escape, became vivid expressions of the resilience that now defined their spirit. And each entry in their journal echoed with the refrain of a heart reborn, a life lived fully, embracing both light and shadow. One crisp morning, while sitting on a familiar bench beneath the sprawling branches of the old oak, Alex reflected on the long, arduous path that had brought them to this moment. The realization that purpose was not a destination but a continuous journey of healing, learning, and self-compassion filled them with profound gratitude. Every trial had been a stepping stone, every tear a necessary cleansing. They now understood that the truth they had uncovered was timeless, a guiding light that transcended all the pain of the past. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, Alex penned the final lines in their journal, a declaration of closure and a celebration of rebirth. "Today, I embrace the entirety of my journey, the joys, the sorrows, and every lesson in between. I forgive, not because the past is forgotten, but because I choose to live in the light of the truth that I am whole, that I am resilient, My scars are my stories, and in them lies the strength to step boldly into the future. In that tender moment, as the cool night air whispered promises of endless possibilities, Alex knew that healing was not a single, finite act, but a lifelong dance between memory and hope. The meeting with Marina had been the final piece of a mosaic that, once scattered by pain, had now been reassembled into a portrait of genuine transformation. With a heart unburdened by regret and a spirit alight with the promise of tomorrow, Alex stepped forward into the unknown. The journey of self-discovery had reached its conclusion in that chapter of their life, yet the road ahead shimmered with the infinite potential of new beginnings. Every sunrise, every whispered secret of the wind, was a reminder that life, fragile, unpredictable, and wondrous, always held the promise of renewal. And so, as the stars emerged one by one against the velvet night, Alex smiled softly. They had come to understand that even the deepest wounds could become the wellspring of the most radiant truths. The past, once a source of relentless pain, had transformed into a foundation of strength upon which a future of hope and possibility was built. Now, as you close these pages, ask yourself, what truths lie waiting within you? Are you ready to transform your scars into stepping stones for a brighter future? Join our community of seekers and storytellers. Share your journey, explore your inner resilience, and embrace the new beginnings that await. Visit my channel to connect with others who are ready to turn pain into power and take the first step toward living a life of purpose and fulfillment. Your story is just beginning. Let it shine.